A mesmerizing Okanagan murder trial full of twists and turns. Now the truth and lies are re-examined in a locally written book.
It was one of the longest murder trials to take place in the Okanagan Valley. It took more than 100 days in court before Rhonda Black was found guilty of the second-degree murder of her husband, Keith. The trial revealed a bizarre and twisted story of deception and murder. And now one of the reporters who covered the case has written a book examining the intriguing tale. Tim Peeling has more.
In July of 1998, Keith Black disappeared without a trace. 5 years later, his wife Rhonda was arrested and charged with murdering Keith in their West Bank home. The investigation and trial of Rhonda Black would become a headline-grabbing story of intrigue, deception, and murder. Marshall Jones was one of the reporters covering the story. He was so compelled by the bizarre and complicated tale that he wrote a book about the whole affair called Black Lies.
You know, there were so many twists and turns to this whole story, from how the police caught her in this elaborate undercover scheme to even Rhonda's defense at trial. Very strange choice of defenses that she chose to go with.
Jones' book delves into every aspect of the story and is critical of the police's handling of the investigation. This is Rhonda Black as she unknowingly confesses to an undercover officer pretending to be a crime boss in what's known as a Mr. Big sting.
This case was different because you had a Mr. Big on Rhonda, and then they went and did a separate Mr. Big investigation on Howard Stedman. So theoretically, those two stories should come out matching. So I'm not sure what it says about Mr. Big that their stories were so different.
The role of Howard Stedman, who would be convicted for helping Black hide the remains of her late husband near his home in Alberta, is also probed in the book. A friend of both Keith and Rhonda, Stedman became involved when Rhonda showed up at his door with Keith's body and their young child.
So he's looking at this situation and looking at this child, and he's thinking, Keith Black is dead, and his son has already lost his father, and if I take her to the police, if I force her to go to the police, he's also going to lose his mother. Pretty bizarre situation.
Jones says his book gives a more complete version of a story that was missing in the daily news reporting of the case. And as the book's title indicates, telling that story means digging through a web of lies that Rhonda Black spun.
She told so many lies throughout the whole thing about Keith Black, her husband, the man she killed, about Howard Stedman, and just really nasty lies about anybody who had anything to say in court about Rhonda Black.
Jones feels he was able to find at least some of the truth behind the story.
I think I've gotten pretty close to it. I think there's still just a couple of minor question marks about Howard Stedman and what he was doing in this whole affair, but I think I'm pretty close to it.
In Kelowna, Tim Peeling, CHBC News.
Black Lies is available at Okanagan bookstores. Jones is hoping to publish it nationally in the future.